Hello everyone, and today we're going to be learning about strings and lists. You may have heard the word strings earlier during my tutorials, and today we're going to be learning more about strings as well as a new term called lists. You can see right here that the error that used to appear here is gone. Now, before I want to start teaching you about strings, I want to tell you something very important. Python has these color codes. You can see that whatever I'm typing is a different color. Now, I'm just going to tell you the the colors which you're going to be seeing very often. You're going to be seeing green, black, and purple very often. Red too. Um, in fact, red is a very important color code. Red stands for comments, which you know what? I'll teach you comments today too. So today we're going to be learning about strings, lists, and comments. Now, strings. Strings are always green in color. So whenever you type out something and it's colored green, that means it's a string, like hi 8 or just hi. I have told you before that strings are anything in quotes. And whenever you type something in quotes, it turns green. You can write single quote or double quotes. I prefer single quotes because then you have to press the shift key and then press the quotes key. Instead, single quotes works just fine too. So I'm gonna be using single quotes throughout these tutorials now. You're free to use whatever you want. Variables and other normal text will always be black. I just selected everything there. Um, and when you initiate something like the print commands, these commands, print, input, and yeah, like that, lists, strings, integers, these all commands, these inbuilt functions are purple in color. And there's also an orange color, which you'll be learning later. There. Those are conditions. Now you'll be learning those later. Now strings is basically just text that you want to write. Suppose your teacher tells you to write, my name is whatever your name is. Let's just say your teacher tells you to write your address. Now simply you'll write, I live in, look in Orange, 123 Street at 1A. There. Now, this is how you'll write it in your notebook. But if you want Python to print it down, you'll write it as a string, right? Like print. Let's write it without quotes. I live at apartment 1A. Invalid syntax. There is no quotes. Now, if we write the same thing, but in quotes, put a quote, I live in, not at. Oh, what's happening to my grammar? At apartment, I live in apartment 1A. Now, you might be seeing why is this, the bracket coming green? When we don't want it to, we want it to be black because it's normal text. I'm giving you a second, figure it out. For those of you that might have noticed it by now, that's because that for the people who haven't noticed it by now, then now it's okay. Now that's because I had removed the quote here. So Python thinks even the bracket here is part of the string, and if I close it here and write another bracket, that will be black. Now if I just remove this bracket, you'll be noticing that when you close brackets, the text, the things you wrote inside temporarily turn blackish. That's just Python letting you know that you've closed the brackets, because if you don't close the brackets, here, this happens. Now just close the bracket and press enter. There. So now this is called a string, and it's as simple as that. This is a string, this is a string, this is a string. This is not a string. Now, let's say you want to add something to a string, like a little detour. The input function takes the user's input. Like the input function will tell the user to type something and store it. Like what, when you might have played a game which tells you to enter a username, and then that username is kept throughout the game. And a simple way of doing that is the input function. It just takes whatever you want to write and stores it. And whenever you want to use it, we'll use it. Then, now we'll be using the input function in this method. Suppose we want a user to type out their name, and then you want to write hello and then the user's name, and you take it to two or three different people. Now, those people can't possibly have the same name unless you handpick each one of them who have the same first name and the last name. Now, how will we do that? We can't just guess the names and write the code differently for each of them, assuming that we don't know the names. That's where strings and the input function comes in. We'll write I is equal to input. These spaces there, these spaces, this one space and this one space, they're completely optional. I just write it because it looks neater. Input string here because input is also printing something basically. What is your name? Now, just some extra information, first and last, because you never know when two people have the same name. Now we'll give a colon, a space, and close. Close. Now I have put a space here because whenever you're using input, it's up to you. But I suggest you put the space because, well, you'll find it out later. Okay, just building the suspense here. There. Now, what here? The space right here was this one. So it just looks neater. No normal person is gonna press the left arrow key and go back. If you hadn't pressed the space, it would be right here and it would not look tidy. There. Now, if I just write ABC XYZ, enter. Now the value ABC XYZ that you just wrote is stored inside I. So that's what the input function does. Now we want them to write hello ABC XYZ. My name is DEF LMNO. Okay. Now print hello, my name is LMNOPDEF. I just wrote it the other way around. But if you print this, then hello, you want their name to come there too. So what we will do is close, okay, close, comma, space, I, comma again, go here, open it again. Now this space is completely optional, don't write it, but there. Now what? Press enter. Hello ABCXYZ, my name is LMNOPDEF. Now you close the comma, the quotes, type out a comma, write the variable name that the input function has stored whatever the user wrote into. Like in my case, it's I. Again, type out a comma, space, and then continue the rest of the sentence. Again, open it. Now, what this does is it just appends text. Suppose I did name. There. Okay. So now suppose this is my name and you want to write out the same thing. Now you'll follow the same thing right here. Because you can also do cheating, see what the user has written and then type out hello ABCXYZ without appending text. You can do that, but suppose the user has entered, the user is Russian and they have typed out a long name like this which you can't possibly pronounce or even just glance at it and memorize it. Now, that's where this becomes useful and it just saves you time, even in short names. There. Now those two sound like brothers. Now, if you want to append two strings in the print function, name first name input I'm holding down the shift key for a reason. I just don't want to remove it because I'm too lazy to type it out again. Now look, I didn't write a colon as well as a space. Now you can just guess what it looks like. Here, it's ugly. Last name is equal to input. Tell me your last name. Okay, so it's John with a 0. So I'm gonna write do with a capital O as well. There. Now, hello, print. Hello. First name, comma, last name, comma, nice to meet you. There. Now you can do different things too, like print. Your first name is. See, I was about to get a syntax error there because I closed it with one quote right here. There. And now lists are very simple too. Lists are just strings or any other numerical values or text-based values in square brackets. Like L is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. So now a list is basically a collection of items. Suppose you're making a game and you want the user's inventory to be same no matter wherever they go. So like inventory, now here you use a list. Sticks, comma space, stones, comma space, knife, random paper, and one more thing, AK-47. There. There. And that's it for today. Thanks for